Hello folks, it's Kerry with 401k Dexters. Jumped in Linda's car to run and get our grandson. It is Sunday and she wants some study time. Her husband Trey is at EMT classes. He is going to school for a nursing degree, but they offered a special EMT class on the side, so he goes to class on Sunday to get extra credit for this EMT class. So she's got her hands full with the grandson, and she called earlier and said, hey, she needed some study time. So I said, sure, I'll come get him. And we get some quality time with our grandson, and she gets some quiet time to get some studying done. One of the subscribers commented on another video that retirement topics were fine, but he wanted to listen to about some topics about our bird dogs and our cattle, the Dexters, that we have down at the property. So today's video is in response to his request to talk about our bird dogs. We've had German short-haired pointers for, I guess, about the last 12 to 15 years. The first GSP that we got was wild and crazy. We lived in Colorado Springs. I did most of the training myself. She was just way too much dog. She got really destructive. I worked full-time, Linda worked full-time, and we would have to leave her at home. She tore stuff up. When we put her in the backyard, she jumped up on top of the fence and barked at all the neighbors. Well, one of the guys behind us was a night shift worker, and he called her into the Humane Society, and I got tickets like twice in a row. And finally, the guy next door, who had a German wire-haired pointer, was moving to Arizona and said he had all kinds of opportunity to hunt her and to give her wide open running spaces, and he would be glad to take her off my hands, which I was sad to see her go, but I needed to give her the opportunity to not be pinned up all day. So we took a hiatus for a while and then moved down here to Texas. We ended up getting a backyard bred German short-haired pointer from our daughter's ag teacher. Did most of the obedience training, and the dog was just birdie as all get out. So I found and looked up a local field trial association. It's called NASTRA, N-S-T-R-A, National Shoot to Retrieve Association. And it's where you take your dogs out and you pair them up with another guy. The two dogs run a field where they plant birds, and then you let your dog go on point, established point. You go in and flush the bird and actually shoot the bird on the course. The dog doesn't have to remain completely steady, but it has to be steady through the flush. You shoot the bird, the dog goes and retrieves it and brings it back. Well, the first time out, this little GSP went up against the regional champion from the previous year, and I thought, well, she's going to get it handed to her. But she went out and found bird for bird with that English setter, and from that point on, we were hooked. We played NASTRA field trials for a while. She ended up getting, I think, a fifth or sixth place in the regional championship that first year we started running her. But I knew that her breeding and her ability was limited, and that she wouldn't be able to do the AKC field trials, but NASTRA was a venue that she performed well in. So we started looking around and found a litter of pups from a dog that was placed at nationals for 2 or 3 years running, and the guy had one male left. We ended up getting our Chevy dog, and then raising him to a point where we ran him in some juvenile stakes. The juvenile stakes in the AKC is puppy and derby. A derby dog can be up to 2 years old. The puppies, they just turn loose and they let them run, and the judges are really looking for the desire to hunt, the ability of the dog to try to find game. They don't have to establish point, but you're just seeing what kind of run the dog has and is it out there hunting for birds. The Derby has to establish point, but it doesn't have to wait for you to get in there and flush the bird. There's also hunt tests where you go out and there's junior, senior, and master level hunt tests that you can compete your dog in, but you're competing the dog against a standard that says how the dog should perform at each level, which is different than a field trial. In the field trials, you're competing against other dogs for placements 1st through 4th. So Chevy, we put a hunt test, a junior hunt test title on him. We ran him in some juvenile stakes. He performed very well, and then we handed him off to a trainer to see if he was capable of performing at that field trial level. His litter was nominated for the National Futurity, which is run every year up in Eureka, Kansas, and all the under 2-year-old young dogs whose litters have been nominated get to run in the Futurity. Chevy did well. He found one bird on the course, ran really big, showed a lot of desire to hunt, and ended up earning 1st place. That was our first field trial dog, and we've got a trophy sitting on the mantle to show his Futurity 2nd place win. So that began our field trial experience. We went out and bought 2 horses, a trailer. We had a truck camper that we went fishing with at state parks. So we would load the camper up, hook up the trailer, load the horses and the dogs up, and hit field trials from Nebraska down to South Texas. And we really got involved with that. We ended up buying a female from a litter down here in Texas, and we bred that female to Chevy and ended up with our Ocho dog. Ocho had a little bit more promise than Chevy. She ran a little bit bigger, and we handed her off to another trainer, Rich Barber at Outback Kennels. Phenomenal trainer, really nice guy. Him and his wife Joyce handle and scout dogs together. They make a really good team, and they ended up placing Ocho in several juvenile stakes and running her at regional championships. She ended up winning a Nebraska championship and placing all over the country, so she did really well. When I wanted to look at breeding Ocho, I reached back to the breeder that we got Chevy from, and I wanted a dog that was out of Chevy's mom, bred to a specific field champion, national field champion dog named Joker. Joker was a phenomenal all-age dog. All-age dogs have a superior run and distance on them. They're big running dogs. They always stay out to the front. So I just wanted to see what that breeding would do if we reached back to the genetics on Chevy's side and reached out and pulled in some of that all-age Joker bloodline. So we ended up having a really nice litter, placed several dogs with companion homes, and saved the few that were the birdiest in the backyard and looked like hunters for either hunting homes or field trialed homes. And that's how we ended up with Raider, our current 2-year-old male. I noticed that he was quite birdie in the backyard and sent him off to a summer camp with a guy named Randy Anderson out of Oklahoma. He takes his dogs up near the Canadian border in the summer where it's cool enough to run him, and Raider showed tremendous potential. We really weren't interested in doing field trials again on our own, and when I told Randy that we would bring him back and maybe run him in some local field trials or some hunt tests, I guess Randy thought that he was too much dog for those type of venues, and he reached out to another guy, Dan DeMambro at Monkey Shine Kennels out of Minnesota. Dan also winters his dogs, has a winter camp up, a summer camp up in North Dakota, and he and Randy know one another. So Randy reached out to him and said, hey, you need to get in touch with these folks down in Texas, and they've got a really nice dog